Hey guys, Archie Luxury on the Archie Luxury. Well, no, it's not. This is the Marcus Allen Frishman live stream. Today, topic is loyalty. Loyalty.
Yes, it is.
What does loyalty mean to you there, Mr. Frishman?
Well, let's just make it clear for everyone in the audience. I'm Marcus Allen Frishman, and you're not. Loyalty is a good topic because there's so much to it and there's so much disrespect for it. So you can have loyalty with your boss, your friends, your family. It relates to everything. A lot of times the worst offenses of being disloyal are to strangers. You'll wonder why that is, and I'll just I'll talk some big picture here, and then we can go into questions or what have you. You know, when a man or a woman gives his word, and then they don't fulfill it, whatever it is, it's something you're going to do. Essentially, it's something you're going to say. It all fits under I'm going to do something because maybe you agreed to tell somebody something. Maybe you agreed to do something, run an errand, fill in that blank. But when you give your word and you don't fulfill it, you have in fact lied. Now, I say politely, I don't care if your mother died. You have a duty to do it. There are things that should exempt you, such as your mother dying, but I do remember a commitment I had the day my mother died, and that's why I'm using this very example, not to put down dead mothers. I loved my mother, and she died, and there was a funeral, and I took a half day off of work. Not because I'm a workaholic. God knows that. I'm not. The later you get in and the earlier you leave, the more you get paid per hour was always my philosophy. But it's because I had given a commitment to my employer. And when you do a commitment, when you say, give your word, you stand by it. You can't change your mind. You cannot change. Oh, you definitely can't change your mind. You do it. Now, let's go to the mother dying. Certainly, you know, you reschedule it. You move it around. And I'm thinking of an action item that requires a specific time, obviously. But there's other examples that you can fill in yourself. So many people question others and demand things from others, but when they are required to stand by their word or their commitments, which is part of loyalty, it's a significant part. That's why I'm focusing on it. They don't do it. They cavalierly say something, and then think they can say, "Oh, sorry, I didn't do it," and they think that they get a pass for sorry. In my world, when you say sorry, you have admitted guilt and you get punished. Now, that's a strong word, isn't it? But you can punish your friends, your wife, your children, your dog, your neighbor. It's not a nasty thing. It's a positive thing. And if you know anything about Pavlov dogs, if you know anything about psychology, I'm a minor in psychology, you know this is a good thing, punishment. And so this is kind of a serious negative topic, but we have so much fun on this show every week. I thought we would talk about the lack of people standing by their word, the lack of loyalty. As an example, you're a coworker or your boss commands you to do something. You need to do what you're told in an employer-employee relationship, and unless it's illegal or immoral, and the moral thing gets redefined because, you know, we all have different levels of right and wrong. There is an objective right or wrong, but whether it's illegal or immoral, you shouldn't do it. But if it isn't, you need to do what your boss says without question. Now, I was an advisor for years, and I would advise my boss about how stupid the decisions he made were and the actions he was about to take and the consequences of which were foolish, in my opinion, those were extreme examples of my disagreement. But in the end, I had to carry out foolishness, idiocy, but I never carried out any illegal act, nor was I ever asked to. A few times the boss got close, and I'm a career political appointee, so I had to counsel him and bring in a real counsel who knew less than me, some guy that calls himself a lawyer, to back me up. But you know, you do what you're told. What do you think, Archie?
Look, I think I totally agree with you there, Marcus. I think the big problem is these days is that you can't have it both ways. Sometimes you've just got to take a stand. And in my own case, I was trying to help this young guy get a footing. He's between some gigs, he's between jobs, and I said, look, you can help me out a bit. What I found was lack of loyalty was that there were some individuals who, for whatever reason, you know, in this social media space, people love to hate you.
Oh, yeah.
And what they don't understand is if you were boring, you get no traction. As you've said before there, you've got to stamp your ground. You've got to do something to stand out. And what happens is a lot of the time people can also be very divided and they tend to dislike you. But what I'm trying to say with the loyalty is sometimes, you know, it's also for me, if I see there's a lack of loyalty, I've got to act. And you can only turn a blind eye for so long before you say, hey, I had enough. This isn't working.
Right. That goes to the punishment component, even though that's an example.
I tend to agree with you. You have, before you cross that line where you don't want to do something that is illegal or highly dangerous, you should counsel them. And I had tried that myself. I said, hey, just be careful, just do this. And unfortunately, sometimes they don't take the hint.
Right.
You know, it's like a guest who comes over, Marcus, who won't leave.
Oh, sure. Well, you know, I'm not a big fan of passive aggressive communication, what that means is, here's the example. It goes to what you just said, people that won't leave your house. If someone says, gee, you know, I'm cold. Do you have a sweater? May I get my sweater? As opposed to saying, turn the temperature down on the thermostat. Okay. So you can't be passive aggressive in life. It's just a terrible, terrible way of moving forward. We talk about success here a lot. And we had a show on it or two, and you cannot be passive aggressive. You have to say what you think. You have to, regardless of who it offends, regardless of the words, say what you think. My mother I quote my mother here a lot. My mother used to say, the truth hurts. And the truth is what you believe to be true. And when you say something, yeah, you have, you know, here's the example I'll use. So your girlfriend or wife comes down to you and, how do I look, honey? And for whatever reason, she looks like shit. Excuse the language. You tell her she looks like shit and she needs to go back and correct herself. Again, that's just an example, because you don't say lovely. You look lovely, honey. You look like the day we met. You're the woman of my dreams at that moment. No, she's cruddy awful at that moment, and you need to tell her, and you need not to be bashful and or passive aggressive. And this will work in the long run. It doesn't work usually at the moment. People have to recover from your shocking, truthful statements. And we have a lady in chat named Edith from the Naked Onion Mystery Tours who knows the truth of this, because she watched me gather 4 million viewers on TikTok when I became monetized. And according to the analytics, in 18 weeks, or was it 16 weeks, I was 187% more popular than anyone in the world ever on TikTok in 18 weeks. we can one day talk about why I'm not on TikTok any longer. But we will definitely mention Charlie Kirk, who took a gun to the head. I wasn't going to take a gun to the head, and they were coming to my house with valid threats. But back focused, because I get on tangents. This Edith, you might want to consider putting her on, Archie, one day and having a chat with her. She's I would call her a traditional feminist, and a woman who.
Yes, no, we would definitely welcome her to come on there. Forbin Colossus, this is a really nasty comment. Hey, your breath smells like Frishman's after he eats cat food. What sort of comment is that?
I think this is cultural. I don't know where this gentleman, you took the comment off. I don't know where this gentleman comes from, but it might be a cultural, let's take a look. Forbin Colossus. Well, I don't know what to make of this other than to tell him my breath never smells, and neither does my body, because I'm wearing today green water. This is about a just under $400 bottle, although it is very large. Green water I found in the back of a seat of a member of the oligarchy in the Philippines. I won't mention his name. He owns the ports there. And I sprayed it on myself and fell in love with it. It's mint. It's a strong mint. So my body, and I wear it before I sleep alone, by the way, if I sleep alone or with someone. But I will tell you, I have excellent breath. Look at those teeth.
Yes.
So some things are imperative.
And remember, bad breath is from lack of dental hygiene. Remember
that's right. And goodness knows I don't have lack of dental hygiene. I may be overly dentally hydrated. I can't say it. And in fact, my dentist, Alan Howard of Encino, Dr. Alan Howard, the most fabulous dentist you could ever have in Encino, California, greater Los Angeles. I'll be visiting him very soon because he thinks I have overly taken a little too much care of my teeth, and I have some wear going on there. We're going to have to putty up, or whatever the technology is.
Yes. No, that's exactly it. Tell me, so your friend there, we would definitely invite her on. Is she willing to come on? We'll just ask her if she.
Well, just ask her. She's the third or fourth comment saying I'm here when we first opened. Before we opened the show.
I will post the link if she wants to jump on. She certainly can jump on.
Yeah, if you want to jump on, come on.
Link.
We're not going to cause you any trouble on this show. We welcome our friends. Edith, there's a link if you want to join up.
I've got to tell you something, Marcus. It's a very tricky thing. Loyalty. You have certain loyalties. What loyalties do you think are important in a relationship?
It's loyalty on steroids on a relationship. I was addressing the importance of loyalty amongst strangers and amongst a employer-employee relationship, but in a relationship with someone you love, my gosh, loyalty is just so important. You can't have any cracks in the loyalty in that kind of a relationship, the love relationship. Now, sometimes things happen, and either by mistake or by design, you have become disloyal, and that requires fixing. And you can only fix, when you're disloyal, it essentially becomes a lie, and you can only fix lying over time. I haven't lied since the 1990s. The reason I even know that is because I haven't lied since the 1990s. White lies.
What made you cross that line?
I think as I grew closer to God, which was very sudden in the early 90s, I realized you just can't lie. And my mother always said the truth hurts. And when I'm talking about lies, I'm even talking about the white lies, because that's the lies my mother was talking about. Those small little lies that cover your ass in a situation. You're much better off admitting to them and getting punished or not and moving forward. It adds respect when you do an admission. I am known to do admissions before
I got some super chats in. Let's grab these super chats. Black Cat 997. Frishman, what's your take on the Charlie Kirk assassination?
Yeah, well, oddly enough, Charlie Kirk had over 10 million followers in just one of his social media accounts. So I did not compare to that, but I did compare on the micro level. And so I identified with it. As soon as this happened, I thought about my experience, which I've not shared here, but it was death threats. I was very popular in a very significant way on a social media account with 4 million followers. And I received phone calls. They had what's called doxed me. Now, Charlie Kirk got doxed, a decade ago, but he's so large that his revenue could budget, within the revenue could budget a security detail and other things. That would have been overwhelming for me and totally unnecessary. So I chose to remove myself from TikTok, but I had people coming to the house. They plastered signs on my door. I got credible, what's called in the business, credible death threats. Now, I did nothing evil, but I learned on TikTok. I learned because I went to look at the most pro-positive, good sites there were. Uncontroversial. I was a bit controversial, but certainly not evil. And I saw hate. I saw hate everywhere. Here's the numbers. I had about 2,000 haters. I counted them. I knew how many people I had to block. And I don't define hate, Archie, as disagreement. I welcome disagreement. Call me a jerk. Say he's not qualified. I remember those came in volume. What is he qualified with? Those were great because I could tell them how I was more qualified than anyone with certifications that they were looking for. So disagreement is fun. I prefer to get disagreement. It's interesting. It's engaging. That's why I watch news shows that I disagree with. I read political commentary that I'm opposed to. I don't read the stuff that just mimics my thoughts. But that makes me unique because I don't think most people do that. But hate is different. Now, in America, we protect hate speech. That's the American way. The Supreme Court has said so. The Constitution has said so. The laws say so. So you can hate someone. You can verbalize it. And until 9/11, you were in all cases you were allowed to make threats. Those threats now have been limited in certain specific categories, federal officials, stuff like that. But generally, hate speech and some minimal threats are allowed by law in America. And I think that's a good thing. I'm a defender of free speech. Archie, I'm a believer in the Christian Judaic Bibles. Yes. The New Testament and the Old Testament. I happen to be Jewish. Resting next to my bed is a New Testament and an Old Testament. I don't want to get too religious here. I'm making a First Amendment point. I was elected president of a Jewish group called Hillel. I was 19 years old. Everyone in the group, there were hundreds in the group, all of them way older than me, but I was a prodigy of sorts in politics as a young man. I was elected as California's youngest elected official. I was actually elected before I could be sworn into office because I wasn't old enough to serve. It's a great story I haven't told here yet. But the point is, I was elected to this group called Hillel. It's a Jewish group. I did a column in a local paper, forgetting the name of it, in Los Angeles, where I was invited to write a column. And I wrote and spoke on the rights of Nazis to protest. And at the time, they were protesting in the East Coast, Midwest, rather. Now, Nazis are foul, have as a foul philosophy, terrible people, right?
Sure.
But I argued that if the government was to censor speech, even hate speech, it would go underground. That's not good. This also, keeping it above ground and giving them permits and having police protect Nazis, which was the issue at the time, is a great thing for America. That would never be allowed in many countries of the world who don't allow for hate speech. But it's a good thing in America. It is. It's a good thing. It allows the FBI to infiltrate them. It allows to see where they're coming from and where they're at. And it allows us to take pictures of all of them. There's a lot of reasons why you want to protect foul hate speech. Charlie Kirk was a terrible assassination, and I am surprised at how the left wing of American politics, and I mean the leadership, not the members so much, have reacted. Let's just put it that way. It was totally inappropriate. I know that it can give an example. You know, who do you think is the most hated man in America on the left, who was once center Democrat, but now is a lefty, and that's Joe Biden. Joe Biden has been diagnosed with terminal cancer. No one.
I must say one thing is I didn't like the way. I must say one thing that really pissed me off. They asked Vance to comment on it. They're so fucking nasty to each other. Instead of saying, "Look, we wish him well in his recovery," blah blah blah, they came out and said, "Oh, well, there you go. That's proof that his decisions were terrible and this and that." You know, they're so
Archie, not quite.
They're so nasty to each other. Both sides
they are nasty. Yes. But what they were trying to say was this particular form of cancer develops over time, and it was documented by the White House
I think
staff.
they just came off as a bunch of cunts, okay? And I normally support the right. I think they came across as a bunch of cunts.
I get you, but it wasn't hate. It was they brought the Republican Congress brought the White House.
You know, to be honest with you, I really can't stand the fundamental Christian right. I think that is a very dangerous side. I mean, I'm not anti.
You mean the institutionalized Christian right in politics? I agree with that. I agree.
I think it's very scary, and
no, it's not. Religion should not be in politics. Although let's have a balance here. The American coin says, "In God we trust." The United States.
Everybody else pays cash. In God we trust. Everybody else pays cash.
There you go. And the United States Congress is opened by a prayer. There are there are biblical quotes posted on buildings, but we don't establish an official religion in America, as an example, like they do in the Philippines, where
I must say I never heard of Charlie Kirk before the assassination. I didn't know who he was. Okay.
Well, let me characterize quickly. Let me just characterize quickly what he stood for. He allowed the left to speak out in such a way and in such volume that no one compares to him. He promoted leftist thinking. He promoted the left's viewpoint. He promoted leftist individuals, not conservatives. He promoted a conservative personal philosophy when he would talk with them, because his protocol was to allow leftists, liberals, and Democrats to speak and have conversation. And that was the purpose. It was to change his mind, change your mind, or depart as respectful friends. There were only three options in everything he did. And there's no conservative or liberal American politician or pundit or reporter or a social media icon that has ever allowed the opposition to have so much time, the opposition to everything he stood for. So they got, example, they'll get 45 minutes and Charlie gets 15. That's how it goes, and that's what he did. And that was a very good thing because I'm a strong promoter of free speech. Yeah,
I must say it's. I think it's terrible. Anyone gets shot, whether they're on the left or the right. That's just such a horrible
and I will tell
way.
you, the evil comes from the left. The right would never go after did not go after Joe Biden's cancer diagnosis. Would never relish the violence, but the left does, and that's not an opinion; it's an empirical fact. But we're getting way deep into politics, and we probably shouldn't. But back to the topic.
Loyalty. Let me ask you
loyalty.
this: loyalty. You've always voted Republican yourself. Is that loyalty?
I have voted for Democrats when they were fairly mainstream liberals, and that I knew a Republican couldn't win. I was a big supporter of Dianne Feinstein in Los Angeles, the senator that died at 100 years old recently, and stayed in office. She was the mayor of San Francisco. She was a supervisor in San Francisco, and was a liberal. But she put the intelligence community heat under the fire when she was chairwoman. As a liberal Democrat, she went after them, and then the left went after her. So the current Democratic left in our Congress will go after liberal Democrats. That is their first.
Both sides will do that. Both sides will go after each other. Both sides will go after their own side. They can't have.
Well, that's because we in America, we have Donald Trump is not part of it, but we have a political elite.
The funny thing is, Donald Trump was a Democrat for years.
But that wasn't political. That was business. So he's in a city where he has to participate with the people he hates. Big banks, Wall Street, big companies, big corporations, anything big Donald Trump didn't like. But he had to work with them because of the nature of his company. But to this day, his philosophy is for the small businessman, for the working class. And the Democratic Party has been the party of the elites and the billionaires. There is 1 or 2 billionaires I can name that are Republican. They are all, and I'm ready for this, I'm going to repeat it, it's not cavalier, they are all leftist Democrats. The power
There's the Kochs are the Republican supporters.
And all of them. You bring I'm bad with names, but I know them all. Bring the Forbes list up. I'm telling you, Archie, there's 2. All the rest are leftists, not Democrats. A couple of Democrats. They're all leftists. They're all the billionaires and the rich in this 1% in America are a bunch of leftists, and they are part of the deep state, which we called in the day the power elite. And in my desk, in my formal office in the other room, I have a paper that I wrote in college. It was my college thesis. It's called it was The Political Elites: Who Governs America? Now we call it the deep state. It is Republicans and Democrats. It is now mostly bureaucrats and not electeds. And because of the term limits, have gotten rid of a lot of the deep state Republicans and Democrats.
And I'm going to move on. I got another super chat. Scott Conway, $5. Marcus, your hygiene has always been impeccable.
Well, now we're talking empirical facts here instead of opinions. And thank you, Scott, for this $5 contribution to Archie. Thank you. And he's correct. Scott Conway is such a fabulous person. I can tell you right now. What are your thoughts on Gavin Newscomb?
Yankee Doodle, Math, what's your thoughts on Gavin Newscomb?
Well, Yankee,
I don't even know who Gavin Newscomb is, but
okay, it's Gavin Newsom, but good old Yankee Doodle wants to throw out the nickname, which disrespects him. He is our leftist governor in the People's Republic of California, and every time he criticizes Trump here in Los Angeles, California, San Francisco, San Diego, his polls go up. Every time he mimics the president in his new technique to mimic the president, I won't bore you with what that is exactly, his polls go up in California. And he doesn't need his polls to go up in California because we can't elect any Republicans here anyway. Nationwide, his polls are going up. So the left is going to love Gavin Newsom when he runs for president. He they're just going to love him. He knows he's very swift, very sophisticated, and he lies about California. And so as long as he keeps doing that, he's going to be successful. I certainly hope he doesn't get elected to anything after he leaves office here in California.
Thank you for that comment there. Tell me this there, Marcus. Marcus, tell us this. Loyalty. What loyalty tests do you set for people?
Oh, well, you have to test loyalty. So in my personal life, I know I've had long-term committed relationships. I've told you I've been like single 3+ years since I've been 15 and a half. And so I've been in long-term relationships. That makes me, that have been very successful. And that's why I give advice on relationships. One of the things you can do in a relationship, and I do it very early on, but you have to be into the relationship and committed. And you have to sit down and explain how important lying and not standing by your word is. So I would tell my partner after a bit of time, how often have you heard me give my word? Say, you know, I give you my word. And my partner would say very infrequently, because it is very true. Because when you give your word, you can't change your mind. You can't back out. You can't do anything else. You have to do it. So I would caution my partners to do the same. Don't make any commitments you can't stand by. And I don't care how low on the significant level, 1 to 10, it might be. 1 being, I'll see you at 6 o'clock and it's 6:30 and you're not there. 10 being, you're the only one I love and you're cheating on me at the same time. I've actually only experienced cheating once with a woman who was in high school. Lovely, great little story. But I was in high school and she was. And she cheated on me with the football player. But anyway, the point is you have to get a commitment. And I remember one relationship with a girl named Mara. And I save things. I have this in the other room too, my office collection of things. I had on the back of a business card written certain things that were important to me in a relationship with this woman. And she signed it. It was 6 or 8 things. I listed them. Some of my best ideas are on the back of a business card. And and she signed it and committed to it. And then I had her on the back of my calling card do the same. She had 2 or 3 things, very few, 3, I don't think more than 4. And I signed it. And we stood by that. That's a commitment. That's giving your word to your partner. Your partner is at a level of 10. So you have to do it sometimes in writing. You have to do it absolutely emphatically. You have to dissect the micro components of the arrangement. I have a video where I talk 10 minutes about how love should be put on paper. Sounds strange, but after you're done with the 10 minutes of listening to that, you go, oh, right, that's what we should all be doing, because it works.
We've got a super chat here. Frank V says, please explain Democratic Representative Melissa Hortman assassination, 14th of the 6th, 25. Where's her memorial and why Kirk got one? No idea what they're saying there, but
well, that goes to who controls the White House and who has influence. Most people don't know who Melissa Hortman is, and no one may care about her personally, and that's sad. But we all have different levels. You know, if Archie and I got put out of our misery today, we wouldn't likely have the attention or the memorial services tomorrow like Charlie Kirk will have. But that's just reality of life. We're not all the same and we're not equal. We're all different. Men and women are different. Men and men are different. People are different.
There we go. I think you've answered that there. Tell me this, loyalty.
Mr. Wilkinson,
you are loyal to the ArchieLuxury channel. I can see that. You are very loyal.
Yes, of course I'm loyal. You know, let me give you an example. Let's say somebody came to me. This would never happen because this is the lowest viewed Archie luxury show that he has, but let's pretend it isn't. And someone came to me and said, you should spin off your own show. Now I have YouTube. I have like 8, 10 videos, personal videos nobody watches. I would say, no, I can't do that. And then you begin to ask the question, well, what could persuade me to become disloyal? Things can persuade you to pull away from loyalty, but and justify the pull away, frankly. But it's got to be very significant. Let's say my mother was dying and I was broke and I had no money and I needed special treatment because I had to send her to the Mayo Clinic. And I'm doing the Archie Luxury show, and somebody comes to me and says, hey, do this other show and make some money for your mother. I would have to sit down with Archie. Archie would agree. There wouldn't be.
Of course, I'd say go for it.
You see how you can work something out? People don't do that either. They become disloyal. And one of the biggest responses to disloyalty is, why didn't you ask me? Why didn't you approach me first? Why didn't we talk about it so we could propose a solution like Charlie Kirk did every day with everyone he disagreed with? So as Archie brought up Charlie Kirk, I thought I'd bring that in. But people don't do that. People are disrespectful to themselves when they make a commitment and don't stand by it. You must do as you say, or don't say it. Just withhold it. I don't make a lot of commitments because I don't want to be tied in to my own philosophy. And it's okay. That's okay as long as no one makes you make a commitment. There are people that will come to you, your partner, your businessmen, your colleagues, your friends. Hey, can you please commit to this? When you're asked to give a commitment, you don't weasel out. That's another component.
Tell me this, Marcus. Yeah. Who is the most disloyal person you've ever met?
Well, I think I said that the worst disloyalty would be in an interpersonal relationship where they cheated. And I had a girlfriend in high school who cheated with the football star.
How did you know she cheated? How did you find out?
Well, okay, so her parents were on vacation this week. And so I was permitted to go in and out of the house via her bedroom window. And anytime I wanted for that week. So I showed up at her Encino home. Her name was Donna. I showed up at her Encino home and went through her bedroom window. But she wasn't in her bedroom. But her car was there. And I said, what the heck? So I looked around the house. And of course, where do you think the last room I would go into would have been her parents' bedroom? So I went into the parents' bedroom. They were out. They were gone. She had a brother. I don't know where he was. He might have actually been in the house. He was kind of a loner, as I recall, and he might have been locked up in his room. But I went into the parents' bedroom, and there, under the covers, was not her. She was above the covers, but this football player. So, I was skinny and scrawny and not accustomed to the to fighting. But I grabbed this guy right here in his T-shirt, and I pulled him out of the bed, and he was big. I mean, I'm 5'10" and a half, 5'11". He was 6'3", 6'5". He was big, and he was the football
quarterback.
He may have been. I don't remember the exact position, but it was. And he was big, and he was timid though. So here's what happened. He had no car. He had no way to get home. I had to take him. I wasn't going to let her take him home. So I escorted him to my car and took him home. I really liked my car, by the way.
What car did you have?
I had a Triumph TR7 at the time. And yes. I took him home. He wasn't far. But here was the psychological torture, because this I could do. I couldn't. you know, it wasn't my style to punch him out. Also, she was beautiful. She looked like she was 6'1", 6'1". She was a volleyball player. She went to Stanford and got on the volleyball team much later when we lost contact. And the relationship continued for a while. So I took him home. So what I decided was planned and methodical and without anger. I gave him the spooks all the way home in the car, verbally. I can't remember all that I said, but you can imagine, right? All these things that were quite real because it was just theatrics. And I bid him very well. We shook hands, I remembered. I never saw him again. And to the best of my knowledge, neither did she.
And how did she explain it?
There wasn't an explanation for such a thing. She just said that she was hanging with him and things got out of control. That's what happens when you're young. Things get out of control. You know, we were in high school, so we didn't have the adult personality to hold back. I say we because I didn't do that to her, but she did it to me. Because I say we, it's the royal we.
Did you tell your parents what happened?
Oh, of course not.
It's embarrassing.
Yeah, no, and I don't think she would ever tell her parents. And we were.
Did
both
other people find out about it?
No. Well, not that I'm aware of. I mean, who knows what went on in her school? But remember, this was before everyone had a cell phone to chat about everything.
You were at school as well?
What was that?
Were you both at school together?
I was, yeah, no. She was at an entirely different high school. She and he were at the same high school. She worked at McDonald's. I met her she worked at McDonald's, and I gave her my calling card. I told you how I always had a calling card. When that billionaire who I met on the elevator told me, get a calling card at 15 and a half, I did. And so I handed her my calling card at McDonald's, and she called me and left a voicemail on my Panasonic answering machine. And I called her back, and we fell in love. I still have the hair ribbon that she gave me because I used to keep it on my car for years, hanging. It was a beautiful bow-tied hair ribbon, and I still have it in one of my scrapbooks.
What happened to Donna?
She went to Stanford, got on the team. We lost touch. She got married, has children. We lost.
She got
touch.
A degree in what? In
I have
volleyball?
No idea. No,
macrame?
Archie, I don't believe I talked with Donna after I entered college.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm trying to think.
Wow.
But that was the only time a woman cheated on me, and that I knew about anyway. But no, I'm confident no one else did. And I didn't suspect she was cheating, and I believed her story that, you know, she's hanging out. Look, I've always encouraged your woman should have an independent life. I've always been like that. Do your own thing. Have your own friends. You know, you shouldn't be in the control of any man. You have to have independence, and that I didn't learn late in life.
We've got another super chat in here. Speaking of loyalty, Black Cat 997 $2. Should Kimmel have been fired or cancelled?
Fired, because for a number of reasons. First of all, his ratings are dropping, and they're going to use an excuse to cancel that contract, right? So he wasn't getting the sponsors, and one of the ABC affiliates canceled him. The major AB, there are, I forget the number, you could look it up, 13, 30. There are ABC affiliates around America that can't carry his show, around the world, actually. The most significant affiliate canceled. That was a huge income drop. And why did they cancel? Because they couldn't get sponsors. They put it out. It's public information. And so a day or two, that next day, began the process of him being removed. Now, a few days earlier, he was critical of Donald Trump, but not in a joke, in a commentary. He did commentary, and it was nasty, and it was direct. I'm not talking about the Donald Trump jokes. Remember what I said about hate and about disagreement? Jokes are disagreement. Nobody gets in trouble or critical of jokes. But he would attack ad hominem Donald Trump, and they were done with that. Their ratings were dropping already. They lost their affiliate. He had to go. Now, the liberal media, just so we're clear, the liberal media is all media except one or two, right, of the long-term worldwide known media outlets, and they take a anti-Trump spin that's just completely not correct. And it's not a matter of opinion. It's just wrong. It's just they're wrong. So yeah, he should have been fired a long time ago, not because of politics, but because of the way he handles his show with commentary, and because he isn't bringing in the bacon.
It's all about the money. He wasn't bringing
in the end,
in
it's
the
all,
buck.
yeah. Thank you, Archie. That's the way to put it. In the end, it is all about the money, but things have to trigger that, and so they could have cover. By the way, I've been in politics a long time. When a politician or a businessman has to make a dramatic move, he needs to have a lot of cover, and the affiliate that dropped was one of them. The fact that he attacked Donald Trump in commentary, not a joke, was another. And where does this come from? It doesn't come from Fox News. It comes from his boss, his liberal boss. Dissect who those people are. They're all a bunch of liberals, but they are businessmen. They like him. They did what was right for the business.
Super chat, Frank V, $5. Should Fox reporter Brian Kilmeade have been fired last week for saying that all homeless should be killed with lethal injections? Geez, that's nasty.
That is nasty. That one I don't know about. You know, everybody's going after everybody now. Yesterday, ABC's national political reporter decided to read the Charlie Kirk Texas and focus on the love and commitment that the killer had in his relationship with the transvestite. Now, I'm not going to say this guy's name, but he doesn't get much higher than the chief national or international, I'm forgetting his exact title, political correspondent. And he lives here in LA. And I met him once at an ice cream parlor. Very nice man. He's a conservative, Trump-loving man who wouldn't tell you. You would know that watching him. And they're calling for him to be dismissed because he focused inadvertently on this relationship and did it in a positive way, and people took exception to it. So everyone is sensitive about everything. What can I say? So you have to be careful about just firing people when they make a mistake, right? Everybody gets a second chance, and the previous gentleman we talked about had many chances. I don't know about this particular instance. Homeless should be killed with lethal injections. I can't think of an argument that is plausible that would support such action. It seems completely evil and off the grid.
Mac Lobster, $2. How can you explain Colbert? Pattern or no?
Well, to each their own. I never liked him much at all. I can't really explain him because I don't follow him. Sorry about that, Mac Lobster. But I will tell you someone that I do highly respect and follow, and that is Bill Maher. I'd be curious to know. He is liberal. He is a solid liberal, not a leftist. And I respect him and disagree with him on most everything, not everything, because real liberals, conservatives agree with on many things. In the old days, when the Democrats in America were liberal, the Republicans and Democrats agreed on a laundry list of things. I can tell you each one, okay, because I was I was in Washington working at that time, and in politics as a career political appointee. I know what those things are. There were massive overlaps. There are no overlaps anymore. There's just hate at the leadership level. But Bill Maher, he's a wise man, and if you're a liberal, you should watch him. Trump had him for dinner, by the way, a few months ago, and he reported on it. I would encourage you to look that YouTube up. The Bill Maher dinner at the White House, and the next day, his show talking about it. I think you'll find it very interesting from his liberal perspective.
Here we go. We've got another super chat. Flip Mode 45. $5. Salute to the uncancelable pontiff. Thank you. Thank you.
That's right, Archie. You are uncancelable.
Yes, cancelable.
Archie, I gotta tell you, you're like a flame. Now you could be. I remember the days that I would call you fireworks. You're like the 4th of July for years. Now we're kind of a raging fireplace.
Yes, exactly right there. I gotta ask you something. Has there been many times when you have been disloyal?
No.
Math, have you been disloyal?
I've never been disloyal to anyone. Let me tell you a story. So I had a boss, an elected official, who fired 37 people in the 4.5 years I worked for him. That's the count. And the reason we know the count is there at some point became a club. And it was called the Fired 37. Yes. And they would meet for lunch, and it was like a joke. Some of them were very high seniored, 6-figured people. Some of them were lower level, but they worked for this elected official. I will not say his name today on this story. And I didn't get fired. And he had a staff of, I'm trying to remember the total number. I believe our staff was 13 to 16. It fluctuated and based on the budget year, which was a pretty decent staff, not large or small, in the California legislature. And we just, when you fire 37 people, when you have a staff of 16, that's a lot of firing and a lot of rehiring, which of course is how I got on very early. So I think his total term was 8 years. So the reason I was able to avoid being fired is because I was loyal. In politics, loyalty and doing what you're told are the two components that are so significant you can't violate them or you will be fired. And unlike people think in politics there's hierarchy. There's hierarchy only in pay and title. When I'm the chief of staff, I'm doing the same job with few exceptions that the intern is doing, whether the intern's paid or unpaid, and we had both, and that's the lowest level, because everyone's doing the same thing. Maybe you have different specialties or categories, but you're all doing the same thing. A political office is structured like that, not like a business with real hierarchy. So you're directly dealing with the boss. You are reporting directly to him and at least one or two others, and you have to do what you're told or you're going to get fired. And so I use that as proof that I'm loyal and dedicated, because I did not get fired. And of the 16, there were only 2 staff members that were on his staff during the entire period. 2, not including myself. I came in late, but he just kept firing his staff. And I have other examples of that. If you can put up with not getting fired from somebody who has a history of firing, you're probably pretty loyal. Just do what you're told. When I was chief of staff, I had a guy that just would not do what he was told. And my boss, I always had a boss, an elected boss, and except in one position I had when when I ran the agency myself, essentially, as an independent appointed official. When I had a boss coming to me saying, this guy is causing trouble, and I would try to rein him in, he just wouldn't listen. And all he had to do was stop writing these memos. He just kept writing the memos. In the end, I told him not to write the memos anymore. He would say to me, but the boss has no vision. I'm trying to give vision to the boss. I'm trying to give options to the boss. And I said to him, that's fine until it's not. And now it is not. So stop. And he kept going. He got fired. He also got a nice settlement when he sued.
Marcus Allen, we're almost running out of time here. It's been a fabulous show. I have really enjoyed this show. I am going to be back in Australia next week. I will be back in Australia. So I look forward to resuming coverage next week with you.
Well, Archie, you have safe travels. And just remember, I'm Marcus Allen Frishman, and you're not.
Let's go through and thank our super chatters. We had Black Cat 997, Scott Conway, Yankee Doodle, Frank V, Black Cat 997, Frank V, Mac Lobster, and Flip Mode 45. You know, for next week, Marcus, see if that lady will come on and we'll have a threesome.
All right, fine. I'll ask her. She might have been a bit shy and unprepared today, but she's watching, and we'll talk with her, and we'll put her on. Edith, we want you on the show.
That, Marcus, thank you so much for coming on today. It's been a pleasure. Okay, guys, we'll end it now. See you next week. Hi, guys. It's ArchieLuxury. Guys, I want to talk to you about David SW. David SW. Guys, if you are in America, if you are looking for a Rolex watch of your dreams, in fact, if you're looking for a contemporary modern wristwatch, I strongly advise you to look at David SW. Guys, don't play the dealer games. Don't bring in chocolates or Krispy Kremes for your dealer hoping to get a Rolex at retail. It's futile. Please, guys, save your dignity. Keep some pride. Go to David SW. I would highly recommend David SW. If you're in America and you're looking for a watch, go to David SW.
All right, Archie.
Great.